Hey everybody, good morning. In this video, we're going to talk about the law of giving and receiving. And before you check out really quick, before you think, oh, Chad, I know what the law of giving and receiving is, but I think this is one of the laws that for one, we really underestimate. Two, we don't do, okay? If we do it, it's one-sided, okay? The law of giving and receiving, both are reciprocal. We have to be good at both sides, okay? A lot of us are just good with one side, which violates the law. So then as we get older, what ends up happening is when we get older, we have more bad experiences, we have more negative experiences that happen to us. So then we really just kick this law out altogether. We're really bad at both sides of giving and receiving. And when we get bad at this, okay, this is one law I feel that really halts our manifesting powers, that really halts your intention, what you're trying to manifest. Okay, we all want a better life. You might want a dream car, a dream house, you might want a dream career. But if you're bad at the law of giving and receiving, it's going to slow things down for you. Okay. So this is what we're going to talk about. And I'm going to give you some wonderful examples here. I'm going to give you an example about this little tiny maple syrup here. I'm in Thailand, by the way. So you're going to think, what does this little tiny maple syrup has to do with the law of giving and receiving? So I'm going to give you some really good examples. And I'm in Thailand, by the way. I'm at the condo. The pool's down through here. I mean, this condo right here has like probably the top pool in one end, or at least one of the top pools, probably the top three in one end. So the pool is fantastic. So there's the thing, there's the glimpse of the pool there. Uh, I just woke up maybe like 15 minutes ago. That's why I probably look tired. Got my morning coffee going. So let's talk about this law. Let's talk about the law of giving and receiving here. I'm going to explain it in a way that you probably haven't heard before. Now, the law of giving and receiving, like I said in the beginning, it's a reciprocal law, meaning it has both sides. Like a lot of laws of the universe, okay, they have a polar opposite. Okay, what I mean by that, if there's an up, there has to be a down. If there's a left, there has to be a right. Okay, if there's a positive, has to be a negative. If there's a good, there has to be a bad. So the law of giving and receiving, okay, it's a reciprocal law. Okay, if you give, meaning you have to receive. Okay, if you don't give, meaning you don't, then what you give out has to come back to you. Okay, depending upon how much you give, that has to come back to you. So the law of giving, receiving, but this law is a little bit unique because we can kind of mess it up in a couple ways. And this is what I love to talk about. Now let's talk about giving, for example. Okay, now a lot of us, you might say that you're an excellent giver. Maybe you're not. We're going to talk about the pros and cons here. Then we're going to move on to receive on the receiving side of things. But the giving, I mean, sometimes we want to always think we're giving money, but we can give our time. We can help people. Of course, it's a money side. It could be gifts. It could be, I gave you a cup of coffee today. I gave you a book. No, anything. It's anything within that realm. It's not just about the monetary, about money, but it could be giving away clothes. It could be, besides sell something, you give it away. You go through your wardrobe and you have tons and tons of stuff that you don't wear. You pull it out. Besides sell it, you give it away. But sometimes when we think we're going to sell something, we think it's more of a scarcity mindset a little bit. Like I have to sell it to get money in order to buy new. If I don't sell it, I can't buy new. So it's more of a scarcity mindset of just giving away. So lots of times I won't even sell anything. I just give it away. Um, so 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 really the law of giving and receiving is how much you give has to come back to you. Okay, if you don't give, then nothing will come back to you. Now, one of the things, what's kind of unique here, and when I go into examples of giving, is lots of times giving, as we get older, more and more people fall into this trap. Is that what we end up doing is we want to control the giving. Okay, we want to control the how. We want to control where it's coming from. And let me give you a really good example. And I think most of us watching this video have experienced this. If you're old enough, 100% you experience this. Is that you help a friend? Okay, maybe you have kids, and you have a friend that, and they have kids too. So you always have a friend that reaches out to you and say, hey, can you babysit? Hey, can you help me out? I got to work late. Can you pick up my kids? Something like that. Something in that realm of you're helping out a friend, constantly, and when you need help, okay, the first thought you think is of that friend, because you've helped that friend so much. Okay, maybe they were moving and you went over and you spent a day or two helping them move. Maybe they're going through a bad breakup, so you're there listening and helping and stuff like that. Maybe it's just the example I gave you. Maybe you both have kids, so they call you and they want to have emergency play dates, or they want to have, oh, can you pick up my kids when I'm working late, or can you take my kids to school? So you're always helping them. And when you need help, when you wake up one day and you think, well, my kids are sick, or and I got to go to work and they got to stay home, can I get a babysitter? What ends up happening, what we do as an adult, especially an older adult, we control the how. It's the same way we control the how in our manifesting. You want your dream house, you control the how in a way of you're trying to figure out how it's going to happen. You're trying to figure out how you're going to get the money. You're trying to figure out where you're going to live. You're trying to figure out how did you get the down payment. You're doing all this stuff rather than you just have it. Okay. And we do the same thing, but in a different way in giving in this scenario, is that when you find any help, okay, the first person you think about is the person you help the most. Okay, and you're thinking, dude, when I call them, they're going to help out right away because I help them out a tons. I always help them out. So that's the first person you call. That's the first person that pops in your mind. So you call them and you say, hey, David, this is what's going on, and blah 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 blah. I tell them the story, and they don't even have to ponder. They don't even have to think about it. They don't even take 30 seconds. Like right after you take a breath and explain what's going on, they're like, sorry, man, I can't. You know what I mean? I think we've all had those scenarios where we're constantly giving, we're constantly helping somebody, that finally when we need help, that person won't help us. And then we confuse the whole law of giving and receiving, and especially on the giving side, is we confuse it because we start thinking, well, giving, receiving don't work because I constantly help people, but they don't help me back. See, this is where we misunderstand the law. This is where we're controlling the how again. We're controlling where it's coming from. Remember, if you give, it has to come back to you. If you give out good, good has to come back to you. Of course, the opposite is true too. If you give out negative, negative things have to come back to you as well. But where we flub up this law, where we flub up the giving side, is that we're trying to control where it's coming from. Just like in the example, sorry that it's loud. Thailand is loud. That's why I have to invest in a new mic. So I can take out a lot of this background noise, but sometimes I'm not going to be able to, just because of the traffic. They got the train over here. They got the main roads over here on the opposite side of the building here. But so sorry for the background noise, if the background noise is going up and down a little bit. But the way we flub up this law on the giving side is that we control exactly where it's coming from. If I have a friend, David, I always help David. Then when I need help, when I finally need help or need assistance or whatever, the first person I go to is David. Then right when I go to David, he doesn't even have to think about it. He don't have to ponder on it. He don't have to sit there and take 2 minutes to answer me. Just right after I tell him what's going on, his first response is, nope, sorry. They don't have to think about it. And then we get frustrated, we get bent out of shape, we start thinking about these laws don't work because I give, and nothing comes back to me. What you have to understand on the giving side is that how giving really works, the giving and receiving, is you can't control the how, Okay, I talk a lot about controlling the how. See, when you give, it has to come back to you by law. Okay, it has to. But it doesn't mean, if I'm constantly helping my friend David over here, it doesn't mean that David is going to help me. Make sense? Okay, if I'm constantly helping David, I'm constantly giving to David, well, receiving can come over here. Okay, it could come from the direct opposite, but I can't control it. Okay, all I'm doing is, all I'm focused is on giving. Okay, once I basically tie the knot, once I basically say, okay, I help David, now David has to help me. And if David don't help me, that just means proof that this manifesting stuff don't work. It's just a proof that the giving and receiving is just a hoax. Okay, that's not how it works, because I'm controlling in one area rather than there's hundreds of different areas that could come in. Makes sense. So if my friend David don't help me, maybe 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 my friend Brad over here that I haven't talked to for years, maybe he's the one that steps up and helps me. Makes sense. And I'm just giving you different scenarios, but we fall into that trap. We fall into the trap that we're constantly helping somebody else. That person has to help us. And we're control that what I mean by that, that's controlling a how. Rather than if we just give, okay, you don't worry about where it's going to come from. Okay, just like Neville Goddard explained, like when you live in the end, when you live in the end, you act as if you want your dream house, you want your dream life, okay, you live in the end. You already have your dream house. You already have your dream car. You already have your dream house. You already have it, period. And you don't, where you flub this up is you start controlling the how. You start trying to figure out how you got it. The how isn't your responsibility. The how is God, is the universe. Okay. Let the how be the universe. Let the how be God. But the how isn't your responsibility. How it got to you isn't your responsibility. So it's the same way here in giving, receiving. Now, another thing with giving, before we move on with the receiving side, is this is where my syrup example comes in to play. I'm in Thailand, by the way, so I usually go down to the pool around 8:30 in the morning, uh, just to kind of hang out with some friends down there. I meet, and one of my friends gave me the syrup from Canada, and it's really it's more expensive in Thailand. You can actually get the syrup in Thailand, but it's way more expensive in Thailand. And this is like 100% syrup, so he gave me a little bit. That's actually a lot. I can at least eat at least one breakfast with this, maybe two breakfasts with this syrup. And it's 100% natural syrup. It's Canadian syrup. And so he really wanted me to try it, but he brought one bottle back to me. And in the meantime, I knew he was going to give this to me. So I thought I brought another prop with me. I This was full of ginger. Okay, I love ginger, like sushi ginger. If you go out to eat for sushi, I might make you hungry in this video. So if I go out for eat for sushi, this is like filled with sushi ginger. And I bought this in Thailand, and this is like it's empty because I ate it all. But this is fantastic. So the other day I went to order online here in Thailand, and it was shipping. It was like 50. This was 150 baht. Shipping was like 50 baht. So I told Aang, my girlfriend, I said, well, order two, see if we get free shipping. So when we ordered two, we got free shipping. But shipping was like 1/3 of the cost to order one. So I said, well, get two. And when I get two, I'll give one to Andre. Andre's the one that gave me the syrup because he loves ginger as well. It's a weird talk. We start talking about food, and we start talking about ginger and just weird things we like. So then he was like, dude, I love ginger. So I thought, well, I'll give him a big bottle of, when I get it in the mail here in the next day or two, I'll give him a big bottle of ginger, but this is a really good quality ginger. But mind you, okay, I order this first. So I already told my girlfriend that I'm going to give Andre this big bottle of ginger. Okay. And I bring home this teeny tiny syrup. I have it sitting in the kitchen. Okay, so my girlfriend's like, well, what is this? And I said, well, it's maple syrup. It came from Canada, so it's more of a natural syrup, a really good syrup. So Andre gave me some to try to eat with breakfast or whatever. So then, okay, in her mind, she's thinking that I'm gonna give him this great big brand new bottle of ginger, and he gave me this teeny tiny little bitty witty little maple syrup. So guess what she said? She didn't say not to give this big bottle to him, but she said, oh, well, when you return this to him after you eat the ginger, you should just put, well, after return the case here, I think I have to return the ginger. I think I messed up my words there. But after I finish eating the maple syrup, I'm gonna return this little plastic little cubby thing to him. But she said you should just fill this with ginger because he gave you a little bit. You should only give him a little bit, not this giant bottle of ginger. And I said no, like right away. I said no, I'm still going to give him this big bottle of ginger because that's what my plans were to do, is give him this big bottle. But in this tiny example, this is what most of us start doing. This is what most of us fail at a little bit, is that, again, we get into control the how, okay? Now, somebody gave us something, okay, like this tiny thing of maple syrup, which I'm going to enjoy this, by the way. But I understand, too, because he only brought one bottle of maple syrup with him that comes from his country, and he's not going to give that whole bottle away for free. That's his bottom line. And he can get the syrup here, but he said it's not the same. They either dilute it or do something to it. And two, he's like, it's like 2-3 times more expensive even in his own country. So because they import it here in Thailand. But the way we kind of flub up is like, we want to trade like for like. Well, if Andre gave me this teeny tiny thing of maple syrup, I'm gonna give him like for like. I'm gonna give him a teeny tiny thing of ginger. Okay, I'm not gonna give him this big thing of ginger. And this is where we get flubbed up too, is we want to trade for like. And this is kind of where my girlfriend's mindset was. And I said, no, I'm still going to give him this big thing. I'm still going to give him the big thing because that's the power of giving and receiving. Okay. When you give and help, okay, you don't have to help other people. When you give and you help and you always have pleasure in giving and giving. Little things will come to you like this, to different angles. Sometimes big things will come in. Sometimes they're coming in different ways and different avenues that you're not really thinking about. Okay, it might be you might have a big payday come in if you're an entrepreneur. You might wake up and make 10, 15, 20 sales at nighttime while you were sleeping. Stuff like that. It works like that. When you give and receive. Okay, but one of the things, this is why I wanted to point out this maple syrup, because this is a trap we fall into too. Okay, the first trap I talked about is as we get older, when we start helping other people and they don't want to help us, and we start thinking, well, I'm going to stop this giving and receiving thing because it doesn't work. That's the first trap we fall into. The second trap we fall into is this one, is that, okay, someone gave me little, so I'm going to give them little. I'm not going to give them abundance. I'm not going to give them a lot. But that's not how it works either. Okay, that's why when my girlfriend said, well, just give him a little, I said, well, no. Right away, I didn't have to think about it. It's like, no, I'm still going to give him this big thing of ginger once it comes to the mail. Okay, once we get it in, I'm still going to give him this big bottle. So because what we're doing is we want to always control the how. See, this is the flub we get into, is we're always trying to control where things are coming from. Okay, just like when you're trying to manifest, just like when you set an intention, like from Neville Goddard, you set your intention. You're trying to control how that intention is going to come to you, and it stops the manifesting powers. Okay, you eventually will get what you want. Okay, but you tremendously slow this thing down. Okay, now let's kind of flip over to receiving. Okay, now some of us can be very good givers. Then when we get on the opposite side of receiving, sometimes we can suck. Some of us are very good receivers. Okay, but then on the giving side, we suck. Okay, we're not good at that. This is why I'm saying this law is a reciprocal law. This law is a twofold law, meaning that it's not just one way. It's not just giving and receiving. On the receiving side, you have to be a good receiver. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, when somebody gives you something, you appreciate it and you take it. Okay, you don't say, oh, no, I don't need that. Oh, no, thank you. Oh no, like, a lot of us are like that. A lot of us are horrible receivers. Okay, we might be great givers, but we're horrible receivers. And when you're a horrible receiver, think about it this way: the universe is trying to give you your dream car. God is trying to give you your dream house. Okay. And if you're a horrible receiver, you're blocking it. You're like, no, 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 I don't want it. No, I don't want it. No, I don't want my dream car. No, keep it away from me. That's what we're doing. Okay, when you're a horrible receiver, that's what's happening. That's why this is a reciprocal law. Okay, you have to be a good receiver. So if you're kind of like this, and sometimes I can be like this a little bit, is that when someone like wants to help me, or somebody wants to do something for me, somebody wants to give me something, I always like in my gut a little bit. I always feel weird, like if I take it. I kind of like I don't really want to take it, but I do kind of feel weird, like you know what I mean? But that means that I need to work on the receiving side of things. Okay, I need to be an excellent receiver. That doesn't mean I take advantage of people. But when somebody wants to give you something, take it. Okay, if you find something, take it. Okay, now I'll give you an example of that, what I mean by that in a second. But just like someone gives you some maple syrup in their country that's 100% natural, okay, take it. You say, okay, yeah, I'd love to try it. Okay, someone gives you a great big thing of ginger, just in case you love ginger like me, take it. I'd love to try it. If somebody, if you're out shopping with your friends and they want to buy you something, take it. Okay, be an excellent receiver. You're not taking advantage of them, but if they want to do something good for you, do it. Have them do it. If you go out and eat with friends and they want to treat you, let them treat you. Okay, rather than having a like almost like a little mini argument. Not really. You wouldn't classify it as an argument, but you know what I mean. Is that if you're not a good receiver, you know 100% what I mean. Is that you're kind of like, no, 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 let's split, let me treat, or let's at least split, let me give money, let me leave the tip, you know, or you don't have to buy me that, no, 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 or kind of what I explained earlier is that maybe you let them do it for you, but then after you go home, you kind of feel weird about it, like kind of deep down in your gut. And it's just because only reason you have that feeling is because you're still kind of not 100% in on this receiving side. So that's how the receiving side really works. And in the example I gave you, like when you find something, you pick it up. I read it in a book. It was like an old school book. I think I was listening to it as an audio book. It was an old school book, probably back in the 1900s or something like that. And he was talking about the law of giving and receiving. But he said on the receiving side, and get this, that on the receiving side, even if let's say you're walking down the street, you look down, you find a penny. It's like, when you find money, always pick it up. It doesn't matter how much it is, because that's the universe. That's God actually giving it to you. You find a penny, you pick it up. Maybe you find a dime, you pick it up. Maybe in Thailand, you look down and you find a baht. A baht is a penny, a kind of a penny in Thai. Is you lean down and pick it up. And I have a funny story with this. I was in, one, always pick it up and keep it. Okay, but that's receiving. The universe giving stuff to you, and you're receiving it, rather than be like, oh no, 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 I don't want a bot. It's like you're basically above it. Makes sense? Okay, you're not above the universal laws. That's what you have to understand. You're not above it. Okay, it's you work in accordance to the law. You're not above the law. You work in accordance to it. Okay, if you disobey the laws of the universe, how you disobey it is like things don't work in your favor. That's basically what ends up happening. But anyway, I lived in Phuket for 1 year. Phuket's in Thailand. So I lived near Patong for almost about 1 year in Thailand back in 2021 and 2022. And I was at the street vendors where you can walk outside and the streets will be filled with vendors, and you walk up and down, and they sell food. Around, like on Patong, it was around dinner time. You walk outside, and they're making everything fresh in front of you, and you can buy food if you want to go out there. So one time I was walking around, so I was by this vendor. So when I looked down, there was, it was more than a baht, but it was probably like a quarter or 25 cents, 50 cents or something like that. And I picked it up. But when I picked it up, so I thought maybe she dropped it. When I picked it up, I handed it to her, and she was like, right away, she was like, oh, no, 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 no. Like, they didn't want to take it. They didn't want to take the money. After the money was on the ground, they didn't want to take it. Because in Thailand, it's kind of weird. In Thailand there's a lot of, in a one way, there's a lot of poverty in Thailand. Not so much poverty where there's homeless walking around. You hardly see a homeless person at all. Out. That's one thing weird coming from the States. If you live in like Los Angeles or New York or Florida, and there's just homeless all over the place. But like in Thailand, you don't see homeless, but but um, but but people are more poor. Okay, and when you're in a poor community, it, it what comes with that is a poverty consciousness, where poverty consciousness, they violate this law. They violate the law of giving and receiving, meaning that if someone leans down, they pick up money, they think it's yours, you probably dropped it, but it's by your little vendor station, and they hand it to you. Like, if I'm handing you something, take it. That means I'm handing you money. Okay, take it. That's the universe kind of giving it back to you. Or it's a test of the universe to see if you're going to take it. Sometimes there's little tests that we have to do. We have to pass a little bit. And then if we don't pass that test, we kind of stay in that cycle of karma. Or we go back and we tell ourselves, more by ourselves, of course, or maybe we talk to friends and we sit there and say, well, this stuff don't work. The law of giving and receiving don't work. Manifesting don't work. Law of attraction don't work. Law of assumption don't work. None of this stuff works. But it does work because the universe is trying to give you stuff, but you don't take it. You don't receive it. I mean, it's the same way in that example I just gave. When I used to live in Patong, when I found that money on the ground and I tried to give it to her, she wouldn't take it. Then after she wouldn't take it, I just stuck it in my pocket. You know what I mean? So even if you find a penny, a dime, a nickel, or whatever on the ground, pick it up. But that's the universe giving it to you. And now, kind of going back to Thailand, like a poverty consciousness and the law of giving and receiving is the same examples I gave you. Okay, poverty consciousness is someone gives you something tiny. Well, I'm going to return the favor and give them something tiny. I'm not going to give them abundance, but I'm going to give them the same thing they gave me. That's a poverty consciousness. That's a scarcity consciousness. It's the same way as thinking of, well, if this person don't help me, I'm not going to help them. Again, that's a poverty consciousness. It's a scarcity consciousness. Okay, and I'll see it more kind of, if you go to, I hate to pick on Thailand here for a second. Because in Thailand, it's either, there's not a big middle class in Thailand. You're either poor or you're wealthy. There's a big gap. There is a middle class, but there's a big gap in between. Okay, it's not so much like the United States, where you have this huge middle class of people. Then you kind of have poverty. Then you have wealthy. But in Thailand, there's a huge gap between poverty and wealthy. But you see things, you see mannerisms, you see kind of how people talk and how they act and how they treat people, and stuff like that. Or they might be nice to you and smile, but just because you're nice and smile, you're going to have that poverty consciousness, go with it. Where, especially in giving, receiving. If they don't give it to you, you're not going to give it to them. If they don't help you, you're not going to help them. Okay, that's usually a scarcity consciousness, a poverty consciousness that we all have to deal with. Okay, you might have a little bit of that in you, just how you grew up. Because remember, our beliefs, most of our beliefs were formed from the age 0 to 7. If you disagree with this, you can research this. All psychologists agree this is when our major beliefs were formed. Okay, from 0 to 7, depending upon our upbringing, what we were around at that time. Okay, if your parents struggled with money or were in poverty during that time, that's why now as an adult you struggle with poverty. Even if, listen to this, even if your parents don't struggle with poverty no more, even if they got out of it and they're fine with it, but you're not. Okay, and this is a true story. Like, I'm kind of getting off on a tangent really quick, but When I was married before, a long time ago, and my ex-wife, when she was raised, okay, her her parents got divorced. Her mom was a single mom, and they grew up most of her life. She grew up in poverty. Most of her beginning life, up to, she was 10, 12 years old, 13 years old. She grew up in poverty. Okay, so mom struggled, but she was a single mom. And then her mom got remarried. She went to school, got a degree. She got a way better job. They had a way better lifestyle. Now it wasn't a wealthy lifestyle, but she lived a really good middle class, upper middle class life. But my ex at the time, or the whole time I knew her, my ex really had a poverty consciousness. She couldn't break that pattern. Okay, she couldn't get out of how her mom was, how she, through her basically through her childhood years of just, seeing her mom, seeing her parents struggle with poverty. She always went back to that state, even if her mom didn't live like that no more. Like her mom and her parents moved on, don't live like that no more. Her parents forgot about it. But here's my ex, just still super, super attached to it. I mean, couldn't break that chain. Always had issues around it. You know what I mean? That's where this poverty consciousness comes from. And because it's not necessarily being taught to us like our parents are teaching us, but it's through observation. It's through what we're listening to, observing. And we're so, from 0 to 7, we're so innocent at that time. We're just taking everything in. We're not filtering nothing. We're just taking everything in as is. We're taking everything in like it's the truth. Okay. And then it affects us later on in our lives. Sometimes it affects us a whole life. We never break that negative cycle. We never break that negative chain. Okay, kind of like my ex example I gave you. She never could break that negative cycle, even though her mom did. But my ex was stuck. She was stuck in this negative cycle. She couldn't break it. She couldn't get it. It just, it was part of her at that point. But anyway, going back to law giving and receiving, and kind of wrap this up, it's I've been, it's about 30 minutes. I've been like jabbing, talking and chatting and all this stuff. But it's a reciprocal law. Let me put my coffee down so I can use my hands. It's a reciprocal law. You have to be good at both sides. If you give with freedom, give with no expectation. Okay, stop expecting things. Stop expecting, if I give this, you expect something in return. Okay, yes, you expect something in return. Okay, when you give, you have to receive. That's law. That's the laws of the universe. But you don't expect it from the same person you gave it to. You give and you forget about it, and it comes back to you in a different angles and different ways. Same way with receiving. Okay, you have to be, if you're a great giver, you have to be a great receiver. If somebody wants to give you something, take it. Somebody wants to buy you something, take it. If somebody wants to treat you out, take it. Let them do it. Stop arguing over it. It's like, no, 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 no. Oh, no, don't do this. Don't do it. Because you're blocking it. You're like, then when you try to set your intention of your dream house, your dream car, your dream job, your dream salary, whatever you want, when you're a horrible receiver, you're blocking it. But your subconscious mind is saying, well, he or she, he doesn't like this. He doesn't like to receive stuff, so I'm not going to give it to him. That's basically how you're programming your subconscious mind, is that you don't like to receive things. You don't like people to give you stuff. So because you always fight against it. Okay, stop fighting against it. This is how this works. Okay, and once you get better and better and better with this, you get better and better and better with manifesting things. You get better and better and better at welcoming good into your life, welcoming great things into your life. You get better at this stuff. But this is how this law works. It's a reciprocal law. It works both ways. We have to be good at both things. We have to be good as a giver, and we have to be good as a receiver. But anyway, just wanted to share that with you guys. Remember, I love you. I'm going to finish my coffee. I might have to warm it up. It might be a little bit chilly. I don't know. But comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And I love you guys. And I'll see you in the next video.